All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Open House at the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy. We are streaming live. We started right at 7 p.m. So if you're here live, welcome. I'm sure people are going to be showing up late or watching this as a recording. So let me warmly welcome you once again to the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy. Um, and then we have some tech support here. Nidhi, you're here. Nidhi Sia is our Director of Operations. So thank you for being here. She'll introduce herself in a sec. Jenny Warner, Director of Student Services, is here. And Nidhi, I don't know if you saw the issue about streaming the Facebook. Maybe you could try to fix that while we're here. But once again, welcome everyone who's here live. If you have any questions, you could use the chat pod. You could communicate with me at any time. My name is Matthew Brownstein. In case you don't know, I'm the founder and lead instructor of the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy. Tonight is meant to orient you to the school. This is open house on May 1st, 2024. Our next enrollment is May 15th, 2024. We have start dates 3 times a year, February, May, and September. So we're talking about working towards the May enrollment right now. There are still seats available. We offer the training 100% online. 70% is done online, no matter what. And then 30% could be done online for the hands-on practicum hours. You can do those online. Or you could do those in one of our locations, which is for the most part Tampa, or occasionally we enroll in Orlando, Florida. So we're a Florida-based school, and tonight is meant to give you an overview of the school, explain hypnosis, hypnotherapy, why are we unique with interpersonal hypnotherapy, and again, definitely to answer your questions. What you can see here on the logos to get started, our corporation is called Anahat Education Group. I hope you can see the sacred geometry within these images, that there's real depth behind everything we do. I'll give you a little bit of the history tonight, but just the bigger picture. The word Anahat refers to what we call the heart chakra, or the energy center of your heart. Therefore, it's a path of love. It's all about heart-centered work. I like to say the school is a path of healing and enlightenment. I started the school, or actually before I was even the school, I started Anahat Meditation Center back in 1997 when I opened my private hypnotherapy practice. So I've been in the field for almost 30 years now. Started my private practice in hypnotherapy in 97. And eventually, when we opened the school, Anahat Meditation Center, which had real deep spiritual overtones or undertones, ended up morphing into Anahat Education Group to best support our mission. In 2007, I opened the Florida, the Florida Institute of Hypnotherapy. But then after a handful of years, about 5 years or so, as the school evolved and the curriculum developed and staff came on board and we kept refining things and our understanding, we eventually became the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy. That's our unique brand, and it's our unique approach. The training itself is about 500 hours, and I say about because there's actually a lot more you can do. I would say if you embraced everything that we offer in the school currently, you're talking well over 1,500 hours of available training with amazing career paths. I mean, hypnotherapy is such an incredibly rewarding profession. I'll talk to you tonight about the income potential, not a guarantee what you can make, but the potential. So that's just a little bit about our logos and the school's name, but let's keep moving ahead. Tonight, again, my name is Matthew Brownstein, founder and CEO of Anahat Education Group. I'm the executive director and lead instructor at the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy. I'm here with Nidhi Sia, who will introduce herself now, and then she doesn't have too much to say. Nidhi is our director of operations. She helps a lot with marketing, and primarily Nidhi is hired to keep everything squeaky clean behind the scenes so that every system is working perfectly, that attendance and website and emails and keeping students happy is a huge part of that. So Nidhi, thanks for being here. I wanted to say hello, just to offer your loving support.
Hi, team. Hi, everyone. It's so great to meet all of you. And as Matthew gave such a great introduction, thank you so much, Matthew. I'm Nidhi Sia, and I'm Director of Operations here at Institute of Hypnotherapy. And my role involves managing day-to-day operations for our institute to guarantee that everything functions seamlessly. And I'm really thrilled to be part of this team. I'm really looking forward to work alongside each of you. and really looking forward to making significant impact. And so glad to be here.
Nice. Thank you, Nidhi. I appreciate you. Nidhi isn't a teacher of ours, but just showing her support. Todd Grady is one of our admissions representatives, but he was actively enrolling somebody right now. He was supposed to be here to say hello, but I'll cover for him tonight. Jenny will talk to you about a deeper dive once we get to that section of the presentation, but maybe Jenny, you'd like to just say hello for starters?
Sure. I'll say a quick hi. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. My name is Jenny Warner, and I am the Director of Student Services, also a graduate of the school. I was actually a COVID graduate. I did my training in Tampa and during COVID. So the school did a beautiful job navigating through that. And I love to be here to support students as they move through the journey, just as I did. And I'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like later in the hour.
Nice. Thank you, Jenny. Appreciate you. Yeah, Jenny bringing up the COVID time. When COVID hit, being a school, a lot of schools, I'm sure, like acupuncture, massage, how I don't know how they got through COVID because you can't touch people or be in the same room with people. With hypnotherapy, we started experimenting with more and more online. We're already 70% online, but we work with the Department of Education, which I'll talk to you about, to get licensed to offer 100% online hypnotherapy training. It's been wonderful. You do miss, of course, the ability to hug your classmates and go out to lunch with students. So there's definitely something lacking in the online experience, but there's also a tremendous benefit. You could train from anywhere in the world. You could train pretty much at your own hours because a lot of the training is what we call asynchronous, where you're watching videos basically on your own schedule and in many ways at your own pace. During COVID, though, instead of using our classrooms before we started going more online, we rented out big hotel ballrooms to be sure we had really adequate social distancing. It cost a fortune, but we got everybody through the training and nobody got sick as far as I understand. So I'm just pleased to say that we care deeply about you, and Jenny's role is I don't think it's the total title we've given you, but kind of like the mama bear, the person who had Jenny's role before. Her name was Susanna, who's lovely. And Susanna was like the mama bear energy. So student services is about helping you to get through quite successfully. You have a question on attendance or grading. You don't understand where to find something. You're having trouble accessing the learning management system. Jenny's totally there for you. She's the one who gets your diplomas for you at graduation time, and is there every step of the way if you need any help. So that's basically a little overview of the staff. If you go to our website, you can see the whole staff and credentials page. I would say on a hot education group now, it's about a team of 20 to 25 people that work. It takes a village to get people through very successfully a 500 plus hour training. Okay, so tonight I'll give you an introduction to the school and hypnotherapy itself, including interpersonal hypnotherapy, talk to you about the student experience, take a deeper dive into that, and then steps for getting started if you're interested. Let's do an overview of what we're really all about. So again, in case you just logged in, my name is Matthew Brownstein. My core mission, and this came to me in very deep meditation in my early 20s. I had finished my graduate and postgraduate studies and so my background briefly, I was let's go even a little bit further back. In 1992, I had a very profound spiritual awakening. I was 19 years old. Everything was normal, average, fine, really like nothing wrong. I wasn't suffering. I wasn't desperately searching. I was really just like, kind of average guy. And then all of a sudden, lying in bed one night, everything shifted. It just was a room that was no longer a room. Everything was energy. Everything was love. It was light. It was bliss. It was joy. I wasn't a believer in spiritual themes. I probably would have said I was atheistic or at least agnostic. I never really used the word God. But at that moment, I was like, oh, maybe this is what they mean by God. And, we're not religious in the school, and I'm not preaching to you when I use the word God. But for me, that word was an experience of unconditional, all-pervasive love and light. And I knew I was part of that. And somehow we're all part of that. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get to feel this forever. This is bliss. This is ecstasy. This is pure love. It's perfect peace. The next morning, that experience was gone. And it went out of my mind trying to find it again. I started meditating. I didn't know what to do. Eventually, I found a meditation instructor, and that background was a lot of Zen meditation. I went very deep into the yogic teachings. So basically yogic philosophy and yogic practice, Tai Chi, Taoist teachings, Qigong. But I was in college as a liberal arts major, so I changed my major to religion. No, first to philosophy, because I'm like, maybe the philosophers know what that light and love experience is. They didn't. It was very intellectual, and they couldn't teach me how to tap back into it. But then I changed my major to religion, and they certainly talked about that reality. But it was only when I found the branches called mysticism, the mystical branches of the world's religions, that I found saints and sages who lived in that state. And they became my role models for life. It's like anybody who is in an enlightened state of consciousness was worthy of my attention. I studied all the world's religions, the Eastern traditions, Hinduism, Buddhism, and the mystical branches like yoga, Advaita Vedanta, or Advaita Vedanta, non-dualistic versions of spirituality, and then Western religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, but specifically their mystical branches, Kabbalah for Judaism, Christian mysticism for Christianity, and Sufism for Islam. But then the question was, what do you do with that type of knowledge? I devoured all the spiritual literature I get my hands on, but I didn't want to go into academia. I didn't feel like that was the way to help to heal the world. But I'd really tap back into what I was looking for through largely yoga, meditation, Tai Chi, etc. I decided to go into Chinese medicine, thinking, okay, that's got to be a way to clear the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. There must be, like, I learned that we all could tap into that healing love and light. But religion wasn't, I wasn't going to go be a priest, even though I'm very much a monk at heart. The question was like, what do you do? And I learned there are blocks to that presence. And I figured, well, they're energy blocks. So acupuncture, massage, Reiki, I got my first and second degree Reiki training. It was great. It was amazing. All that stuff is great. But I knew there was something more. So I spent some time in a monastery, some time in a yoga ashram. I lived in the Himalayas in India, which was a phenomenal experience. And then eventually I went back to a second acupuncture school, thinking, all right, I got to have a career. But that wasn't quite right, even though, again, it's a powerful medicine. Once I stumbled across hypnotherapy, I was hooked. I realized the mind is the problem. All you have to do is heal the mind. Right? It's like the world isn't a problem. Our bodies aren't a problem. Our soul is, the spirit isn't a problem. Even our emotions aren't really problems. The mind, what I realized, is the one common denominator to why we basically all suffer. And the energy blocks in Chinese medicine, our negative emotions, our negative behaviors, all roads just led back to mind. And I wasn't honestly at the time impressed with the field of traditional psychotherapy. It wasn't a model based on healing and enlightenment. It was a diagnostic model rooted in science, which, I'm not going to knock science, but if you can't prove something like unconditional love and light, then it's out of the equation. I couldn't take the enlightened state of awareness out of the equation. So after all these studies, when it was time to start a career in 1997, I went into the woods in Colorado and meditated up in the Rockies. And I was just like, well, okay, what do I do with my life? And this is when this mission came to me, to offer the world. So we are a global vision for sure, through loving service, the wisdom and truths I've discovered over the years. We just had a student who graduated and she said, Matthew, this wasn't just a hypnotherapy training. It was a mystery school. Like, we went deep down the rabbit hole into so many of the amazing teachings that we'll talk about briefly tonight. So to offer the wisdom and truths I've discovered over the years in a way that relieves the suffering of all beings. It's very much a Buddhist slant on things, and promotes health. That's my background in Chinese medicine and my desire to help others to heal their bodies. A huge part of my life's work was healing the mind to heal the body. Right? Because I wanted to heal the body. I was curious how the saints and sages, the miracles of Christ, did those miracles happen? If they did, why? Right? Even if one miracle that we've heard about happened, and it does. You watch the faith healing and people, not everybody, some people might be faking, but some people are legitimately healed during these type of prayers or faith healing experiences, where you hear about the miracles of the great saints and sages. So why does that happen? I realized mind is at the root of all of that. You might say spirit or light or love is at the root of all of that, but if you're like me, you may have caught on to that's everywhere, right? That's omnipresent. That love and light is everywhere. Why is it not healing us all the time? Our minds get in the way. So again, the model is to clear the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. So I gave a lot of lectures on healing the mind, healing the body. And again, that was part of my theme. Also wealth. So promoting health, wealth, and enlightenment. The wealth theme is because we all suffer so much in poverty. Human beings, like when we don't have money, when we're lacking resources, we suffer. And if we're all honest, we like money. We like to not just be self-realized, to know who you truly are, but to be self-actualized, so that every category of your life is successful. So one of the main components of the school is what I call the Life Mastery course. And it's based on teaching you to use your mind and help your clients to do the same to get success in every aspect of your life, quite holistically, spiritually illuminated, mentally and emotionally healthy, with a clear mind and an open heart, where your relationships are loving and harmonious. Like, I don't deal with disharmonious relationships at all in my life anymore. It has to be loving and harmonious, or it's just not happening. And once you set that intention and program that into your mind, all your relationships become wonderful. In A Course in Miracles, which those of you who are familiar with the course will know I've already quoted from it, A Course in Miracles says, heaven is a choice I must make. So that's mind. Again, a choice is in your mind. And are you choosing to be miserable or lacking, or are you choosing to be in abundance and to be happy? So to me, health and wealth are what we can all want. I like to say happy, healthy, thin, and wealthy. If you're honest, you're probably good with those four things: happy, healthy, thin, and wealthy. So we use the mind in our training in a Manifesting Prosperity course, and as I mentioned, the Life Mastery course, to help you to achieve financial abundance. And I'll talk to you about how much money you can make. I will say our highest ranking graduate, ranking meaning finances, and actually number of clients, really. She's done like 30,000 hours of hypnotherapy over about 10 years. This graduate I just talked to recently said she makes $500 every session, and she made $250,000 last year. Now, again, that's the most I've heard a graduate making, but we definitely have graduates making six-figure incomes. So I'll talk to you about that, because we can't guarantee what you'll make. But I'm all about helping you to be financially free. I love offering careers that are spiritually based and deeply rewarding for our graduates. And then health, wealth, and enlightenment. So what does that mean? It's knowing who you truly are. It's removing the blocks to your true self. I like to see us as like perfect diamonds covered in dirt, right? And our job, you might say, is to just clear the dirt away. And the dirt is the debris in the subconscious mind, the emotional mind, dealing with the inner child or the shadow self, right? If you've been around the block in these type of fields, you may have learned about like Reiki or massage or herbology or chakras or crystal healing. But the more you work with that, you realize, okay, I can make positive change with all those modalities. But if you do a massage and somebody starts crying because they're got all this fear and emotion, sadness knotted up in their muscles, that's their mind, right? Acupuncture, I learned in Chinese medical college, anger affects your liver, fear affects your kidneys, overthinking and worrying and rumination affects your spleen, stomach, pancreas system. Anxiety and all that fear we hold can affect the heart. Grief affects the lungs, sadness affects the lungs. If you know that, then how could you only treat the physical body or the energy body? Because you realize mind is the root cause. So enlightenment for me is clearing all those blocks so that you can know who you are. I'm the author of 5 books. One is called The Sutras on Healing and Enlightenment. And in that book, it says healing and enlightenment are synonymous terms with which both arise with the knowledge and awareness of truth. Healing and enlightenment are synonymous terms. When we heal the mind, we wake up to who we truly are, and the body actually heals in the process. It's been a remarkable journey. And then this closes by saying, I want that health, wealth, and enlightenment for myself as others, because the model here is oneness consciousness. We're all the same self. We're all part of the same planet, right? Trees aren't walking around thinking they're separate from other trees. You breathe the air of the trees. They breathe our air, right? We all know we're this big symbiotic organism. We don't live like that But the model of oneness consciousness is beautiful. If we all knew we were one, self doesn't hurt self. We would be kind and loving to each other. You can check out on YouTube a bunch of different videos, and one I recently cranked out is called By 2050, 10 Billion People Happy. It's based on a new colleague of ours, Luis Gallardo, who runs the World Happiness Foundation. He's going through our training now. But when I heard about what he does, and we met, I said, I want to support you in that. By 2050, everyone is happy. 10 billion people by 2050. There'll probably be that many on the planet. And I said to him, what do you mean by happy? And I'm like, happy, healthy, thin, and wealthy, health, wealth, and enlightenment. But basically, let's all work to heal this world. So that's really what it's about. So when I say for myself as others, it's saying you're my very own self. Your prosperity is my prosperity. Your joy is my joy. So the school has always been about helping to empower you, to use a kind of Oprah statement here, to live your very best life. And again, your mind is the key to that. Okay, so with that said, little overview, hopefully giving you the spirit of things and getting to know me a little bit. I'm your primary instructor when you go through the training. I kind of semi-retired. I don't have to teach. I have plenty of teachers, but we've learned in the school, students do come to the training because of me. They like to have me as their lead instructor. So I'm still joyfully doing it. It's hard work, especially when you don't have to do it. You can just pay a teacher to do it. But, I've been at this for a long time. So let me give you the brief overview again for the history, and we'll go through journey and credentials. I've covered this a bunch, but let's go through the bullet points here. So the history of the school, again, I got into all this in 1992 when I woke up spiritually. Philosophy, religion, Chinese medicine, acupuncture, massage, Reiki, yoga, Qigong, living in ashrams and monasteries, eventually finding hypnotherapy. My primary mentor is Gil Boyne. Gil has passed away, but Gil was the founder of the American Council of Hypnotist Examiners. They had pretty high standards, and Gil required that his schools that he would certify had to be state licensed. So Gil being my mentor through the years, I reached out to him in like 2005, 2006, and I said, I've had like 10 years experience. I feel like I'm ready. I'd like to open a branch of your school. He said, okay, you have to get licensed through the Department of Education. Nobody in Florida had done that before. So we became Florida's first state licensed school to offer legitimate career diplomas as a certified hypnotherapist, not just hypnotist, but a certified hypnotherapist, clinical hypnotherapist, and transpersonal hypnotherapist. We're the first, as far as I know, still only school licensed in Florida to do that. We are online for, if you want, for 100% of the training, which means you could train with us in any state or anywhere in the world. But the beauty of being state licensed, let's back up a little. On the federal level, on the U.S. Department of Labor level, hypnotherapy is an actual occupation, just like acupuncture, massage, doctor, dentist, right? They're government acknowledged occupations. Hypnotherapy, with the help of Gil Boyne back in the 70s, became a federally acknowledged occupation. Therefore, if you're going to train someone with the occupational title hypnotherapist, legally, you need to be licensed by the Department of Education to do so. It'd be like saying, I'm going to just train a medical doctor out of my garage, right? It would be completely illegal. The same is actually true of hypnotherapy. Now, are there unlicensed trainings? Sure. Could you read a book on hypnosis? Sure. Could you do a weekend workshop or, go to some online, 100-hour course? Sure. But if you're looking for a comprehensive career training that's extremely thorough, but also deeply spiritual, this is very much a place that people find. I would say we are one of the better or best schools in the country or in the world. I can't quantify that, so you can't make unsubstantiated claims, but I could tell you, you will not be disappointed with what we put together here, if you resonate with this. But anyway, we became state licensed in 2006. The first class was 2007. It was just me and 25 students. It was quite a fun experience. We started in Gainesville. Eventually moved to Tampa. And then since then, we've had trainings in Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville, Hollywood, Florida, Miami, Florida, Naples, Florida, Charlotte, North Carolina, Alexandria, Virginia, Washington State, different places in California, Dallas, Texas. So we've been around, and we've cranked out now over 1,000 graduates. We've had over 60 classes that have gone through the training. And my goal, which we're getting closer to be able to measure, like the systems are in place to do, we're getting there to be able to do so. I want to see 15,000 healings occur every week because of this school. That's 1,000 graduates seeing 15 clients per week. It's a completely realistic goal, and it's part of the vision of everyone happy by the year 2050. Okay, so that's kind of the brief history of this school. Like I said, during COVID, we applied with Department of Education to become 100% online, and they approved us, and it's been very successful. But to be honest, online is great, but in person is arguably better in some ways. It just depends on what's right for you. So if you decide to call the school and talk to admissions representative about our training, definitely feel out what's the benefit of online versus in-house. 99% of hypnotherapy does not involve touch. There's only 1% where we actually need to physically touch the client, and you can leave those techniques out. I personally live in the Adirondack Mountains of upstate New York now. I don't live in Florida anymore. I do all my client sessions online. I just had a client session today from 4 to 6, and it's great. It's awesome. You can work out of your own home. You can make your own hours. You can charge really good money. And of course, best of all, you get to help people to transform their lives, to open their hearts, to heal their bodies, to wake up spiritually, to make more money, to stop negative behaviors. It's phenomenal, really. I've been at the end of a day. I used to see about 25 clients per week. And at the end of the day, I was just like, oh my God, thank you. Like, I can't believe this is my profession. Like tears streaming down my face that I get to do this work. Okay, so we talked about my journey and credentials a bit. That's enough of me. Our team, we introduced you to a little bit, but again, I invite you to check out our staff and credentials page on our website so you could see the whole robust team of really just wonderful, beautiful people. I'm so honored that such good people have surrounded me with this vision. Let's talk about the importance of state licensure again briefly. You can, if you go through a basic hypnosis training, call yourself a hypnotist, and nobody's going to stop you from doing that. But when you want to really go into this as a profession, I, being based on Gil Boyen's model of hypnotherapy, stand by that this is a legitimate occupation called hypnotherapist. But there are laws that govern the occupation. Different states have different laws. What happened after Gil Boyen passed away, I really did some soul searching, and I realized I want to go beyond those standards. I want to stand on the shoulder of this giant. He was one of my dearest role models and mentors, but it was just so important for me to go beyond what I saw. So one of our taglines for the school is raising the standards of hypnotherapy training, because there's just, I was getting my master's degree in Chinese medicine. And when I got into hypnotherapy trainings, multiple different trainings, I was like, this is not as impressive as it could be as far as the standards of education. So state licensure became part of that. Clear code of ethics, clear scope of practice, assessment protocols, in-depth training and marketing and advertising, business and practice management. We have ways to help to build websites for you from one of our kind of colleagues who does marketing. So when it's time, we teach you everything you need to know about marketing the business. But we founded what you see on the screen, the IAIH. That's the International Association of Interpersonal Hypnotherapists. It was meant to help us go beyond the current industry standard. So that's continuing education units, certifications, annual conferences. We have our conference coming up in October. October 19th and 20th, I believe. That should be posted on the website soon. We got all our presenters together. That is going to be called Hypnotherapy as a Path of Healing and Enlightenment. We have phenomenal presenters coming in talking about ethics, business, and practice management, just refining your skill sets as far as like your hypnotherapy intake and different hypnotic techniques. So the conferences have been great. But really just keeping the standards as high as possible when it comes to education. Okay, so what is hypnotherapy? What is interpersonal hypnotherapy? Hypnosis itself is a natural yet altered state of mind. Natural meaning we don't use drugs. There's no psychedelic therapy here. I'm not against that. It's just not our thing. All right, we use a natural state of mind, not using drugs to induce an altered state. But it's a natural state, which means you enter it all the time anyway. when you're half awake at night, when you're falling asleep, when you're waking up, or you're daydreaming or taking a little nap. We all enter altered states throughout the day. It's a natural yet altered state, meaning it's just different than your normal waking consciousness. We like to say with hypnosis, you're simply, and this is not 100% the most accurate statement, it's a simple statement, you're relaxed, receptive, and responsive. When you're in hypnosis, basically you're relaxed, receptive, and responsive. The responsiveness is important because you have what's called a subconscious mind. And how many times have you said, God, I got to stop smoking. I got to lose weight. I got to stop overeating. I got to stop these toxic relationships. And then you find yourself doing it again. You're not necessarily following your highest intentions. What you can learn to do with hypnosis is you get your subconscious mind, which is what governs your behaviors, to follow your highest intentions. So that's basically basic hypnotic programming. But hypnotherapy goes much deeper than just programming. Basic hypnotic programming, like what a hypnotist could do, is to talk to the subconscious, like you are now a non-smoker. You put someone into hypnosis, you tell them how they're going to be, and you hope it works. But with more advanced hypnotherapy, we talk with the subconscious mind using powerful transformational modalities that help to make really long-lasting change. So hypnotherapy is much more than just being a basic hypnotist. And again, it's a federally acknowledged occupation with a handful of schools that are now licensed by the Department of Education to give legitimate diplomas. Now, again, you can go and get hypnosis training in other places, but if you're thinking of this as a career, I can't recommend enough. Find a licensed school. Be sure you're getting at least 300 hours, but ideally over 500 hours of training. And then certainly look into the way the education is delivered. If it's 100% in-house, what happens is you hear the teaching, and then if you didn't take notes or you didn't remember it, it's gone. But with online education, which our training, the core of it is 70% online, you have lifetime access to our entire online library, which is many, many hundreds of hours of audio and video recordings, PowerPoints, meditations, etc. And there's always new stuff coming out pretty much weekly to make that library ever more robust. So learning online has tremendous benefits. Have a hybrid where you can learn in-house, or it could be 100% online. Okay, so it's a little bit about hypnotherapy. What is interpersonal hypnotherapy? When I was in meditation years ago, when I had run the school for quite a few years, I was saying to my higher, wiser guidance, whatever you might call that, I said, what is hypnotherapy? Is it transpersonal? Is it like the essence of it about bringing people to spiritual realization? And the inner voice of wisdom said, yes, and it is interpersonal. I'm like, wow, that was profound. That came to me. It's not like I just decided to think of it that way. And yet I started contemplating interpersonal. What it implies is, number one, the importance of relationships when it comes to healing or transformative work, right? That you as the practitioner or the facilitator are a very important part of the equation of bringing about positive change. But it goes much deeper than that. So I'm going to give you the brief overview of interpersonal, but it takes me many hundreds of hours to teach you the modalities and the understandings. Think about stress-induced headaches, a psychosomatic headache. Okay, now the headache, let's say we say, oh, it's coming from stress. Okay, but what do we mean by stress? Emotions, anger, rage, fear, shame, grief, guilt, sadness, anxiety, right? We hold all that pain in our heart. That's stress, really. And okay, it's giving you a headache. But what's causing all those emotions? Your beliefs cause your emotions. So what do I mean by beliefs? Well, beliefs are thoughts. That's your mind again. Your mind causes your emotions. The beliefs that we as human beings tend to hold are things like, I'm unlovable, I'm bad, I'm stupid, I'm dirty, I'm disgusting, I'm worthless, I'm useless, I'm a thing to be used, I'm powerless, I'm trapped, I'm helpless, I'm out of control, I'm abandoned, I'm betrayed. Those are examples of beliefs. Those cause our emotions, and those cause negative symptoms and behaviors. But what causes all those negative beliefs? Past memories, right? Past events. So dad, let's say, abuses the child in different ways. The child concludes all those negative things about him, herself. Then all those negative emotions develop. and then symptoms and behaviors develop. So interpersonal hypnotherapy says we don't just treat the headache, we're going to deal with the emotions. But what causes the emotions? The mind. So we're going to deal with the mind. What specifically in the mind is the problem? Belief systems, the negative thinking. What's causing that? The past memories that got those patterns in place. What's at the core of those negative memories? Relationships. Therefore, all miracles, like true miracle mindedness, where you're healing the mind, miracles are interpersonal. When you want to perform miracles, where you instantly make the headache go away, I teach rapid resolution processes that I've designed over the years. And one of them we affectionately call the 10-minute miracle cure. And I just demonstrated it the other day. And like in 10 minutes, you can make radical change in people if you understand how to get to the root cause. So interpersonal hypnotherapy is all about root cause, not chasing symptoms, but not even looking just for past memories, because you might have 1,000 memories with dad, but you only have one dad, most people. When you heal the relationship with dad, essentially you forgive. Forgiveness is the essence of a miracle. And once the relationship with dad is forgiven and the anger is cleared and those thoughts are cleaned up, the headaches just go away. Okay, so that's a brief introduction to the interpersonal approach here. So why IIH? Why this school? Because of course there are other schools. Number one, and this, not saying this with ego, Matthew Brownstein. If you resonate with me as a teacher, consider this school. If you don't, then there's other teachers out there. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. So if you're feeling like I've been looking for somebody who's kind of like a spiritual teacher, but who's not religious, but who could help to guide me in my spiritual journey, who could help me with life mastery and get my life together. I do private sessions. I help our students when I can. I can't see every student, but I do help people. But also we have tons of staff and graduates who help our students as well. So we have a really strong team that takes you through. It's not just me at all. But again, I am a lead instructor because students have really appreciated that. Again, why this school? Over 500 hours of training. If you do a 100-hour workshop and call yourself a hypnotherapist, you could get away with it. But, you're doing yourself and the public a disservice. So look for 500 hours plus training. Be sure the school is state licensed at minimum for their credentials. And then again, the styles of delivery. Is it done online or in-house? I'm a huge believer in offering a hybrid approach, having both, because online education has incredible benefits that go with it. And then as far as, welcome our admissions representative, Todd Grady is here. We'll let you speak in a moment. Thank you. I know you were busy enrolling someone. So welcome to Todd. So styles of delivery, briefly, online or in-house. 70% is online, and Jenny will talk to you about that in a moment. But the in-house definitely has some benefits if you're able to join us in Tampa or Orlando for the May enrollment. In-house, you get to meet your classmates in person. You get to give people hugs. There are some techniques that involve touch, which is nice to do. You get to go out to lunch with your classmates. So, we were a brick and mortar institution for years, and there's something beautiful about that. Online has tremendous benefits about the ability to go back and rewatch videos over and over again, to be able to learn from anywhere you want, to not have to drive to another location, to have to stay in a hotel sometimes to go to our physical location. So when you call the school, if you're interested, you talk to Todd about what's best for me. And, we're happy to talk it out with you. Okay. With that said, let's talk money. Now, it's all about helping people, but if you help 15 to 20 or 25 people a week, you're pretty much guaranteed to make a certain amount of money. But when I use the word guarantee, I'm just saying that's the math of things. We're a state licensed school. We can never promise you how much money you will make, but do the math. At minimum, we recommend graduates charge $70 per hour. Now, sessions are usually 2 hours. So if you charge $70 per hour, it's like $140 a session. Some of our students, though, are just starting at $90 right away when they graduate, $180 per session. If you want to charge more, before I opened the school, I was charging $115 per hour, so $230 a session. Currently, I charge $300 per hour, $600 for a session. That's on the higher side, of course. But really, you could charge $150 per hour once you feel confident to get clients. And we teach you how to do that. 150 per hour is 300 per session. Just do the math. If you're thinking about this as a career, say if I charged even $200 for a session, $100 an hour, and I saw 20 people a week, what would that do for my livelihood? You can see anywhere from 1, or 0 to 25 clients a week, 2-hour sessions. So 25 a week is a 50-hour work week. But if you want to make a lot of money and help a lot of people, totally realistic. I got up to 30 at one point. I was on a waiting list, but that's too much work. It's can be hard work at times. You put your whole heart into it. So a lot of our graduates see 15 clients per week. So you can do the math. Again, sessions are usually 2 hours. But here's simple math. Again, not a guarantee in what you will make when you graduate. If you get 200 per session and you see 20 clients per week, that's $4,000 per week. 4,000 times working 50 weeks in the year is $200,000. Again, the highest paid graduate I know of is doing just last year did $250,000. But realistically, if you do really well, you can be in a 6-figure income bracket. Does everybody do that? No. What is our success rate? We can't measure everybody's exact income, but according to Department of Education standards, the average year-over-year positive graduate outcome has always been over 90%. What does that mean? When we check with you after 6 months, you're either full-time, part-time, using it as an adjunct to an existing profession, or you're still gainfully employed. As long as you have a job, Department of Education says that's good. But basically, our placement rate has been over 90%. Our retention rate has also been over 90%. And students passing the qualifying final exam, usually for sure over 90%. So I honestly think we're doing a great job. We got a lot of really successful graduates. And if you ever want to talk to a graduate to say, what was your experience like? Was this a good thing? We're always happy to help you to talk to a graduate. I told you that we founded the IAIH. That's our credentialing governing regulatory body for graduates who choose to become members of that. You don't legally have to be part of any hypnotherapy association, but you should. It's kind of like you graduate medical school, but it's not like the University of Florida governs you anymore. They graduated you, that's it. You become part of the AMA, right? And you have a credentialing body governing you. The same should be true for hypnotherapy as we're raising the standards. So the IAIH gives you a certification number, requires that you get CEUs, has you sign a very clear code of ethics, teaches you about scope of practice assessment. We teach you about HIPAA compliance, the state laws, rules, and regulations to be sure that you're practicing ethically, professionally, safely, so you don't get in trouble. And again, the annual conferences and CEUs help to keep you, your skill set sharp. I'm the author of 5 books. The book Peace Under All Circumstances is available for free as an audiobook on YouTube. The Sacred Geometry of Meditation and the Anahat Meditation System are found at a website, a link called onlinemonastery.com. This is where you can get about 100 hours of free, completely free meditation training, and eventually you can become a certified meditation teacher through us. It's a very unique system that I teach called the Anahat Meditation System. So these 2 books, The Sacred Geometry and the Anahat Meditation System, cover that. We don't require that you read those books. The book Interpersonal Hypnotherapy is a nice primer. I'm writing another book now that goes very deep into all that, but that's like a good introduction to our work. It's available on Amazon. And a book that we do use in the school is called The Sutras on Healing and Enlightenment, a spiritually based approach to mind-body healing. By the way, if you have any questions, if you're here live, you're welcome to just use the chat pod. If you go to YouTube, Hypnosis for Integrating the Psyche into Wholeness is one of many free meditations I posted there. That's a really powerful one. We all have what you call an inner child. We also have what we call an inner critic, that negative voice in your head. And then there's like your conscious adult self. You want to be whole. You don't want to have a divided or split psyche to any degree, conflict in your own mind. So that meditation, along with a lot of others, is meant to help you, again, at no charge, to move towards wholeness. Again, onlinemonastery.com is worth checking out if you want to learn some really deep meditation. All right, with that said, let me turn it over to Jenny Warner. Yeah, I think, Jenny, we talked about you doing, you can start here, if that's good with you. So Jenny's going to talk to you briefly about the student experience, and then I think even a little bit of the deeper dive.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have 3 programs and 500 hours of training. And the first 300 hours is called hypnotherapist. And that's divided into 3 100-hour section. That's consists of fundamentals of hypnotism, advanced hypnotism, and hypnotherapist. So that's just a really comprehensive training on the theory and the practice of hypnotherapy. And after that 300 hours, you would be eligible to take your final exam, and that would give you your hypnotherapist diploma. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a couple of slides. After that, the 400 hours is, or the fourth 100-hour module is clinical hypnotherapist, and that relates to the use of hypnosis in the therapeutic and medical settings. And then finally, the last 100 hours of the 500 is transpersonal, which relates to concepts of reincarnation, relates to theories of karma, and also helps you to be able to introduce that spiritual component to the work. And I'll show you a visual in a couple of slides where you can see how that progression looks over time. Within each of those 100-hour training modules, we have 60% of the online tutorials, and those are pre-recorded. Those you can access when it's convenient for you. And 40% of the 100 hours is the live practicum hours, which would be either online or in person. And that's a real deep dive into the practice and application of everything that you learned in those 100 hours. And within each of the 100-hour segments, we also have 5 live classes. So that's 10 hours of learning and training. And it's a chance for you to get online and to meet your instructor, to meet your fellow students, and to ask questions. We also, as part of the experience, have exams and quizzes as you move through the modules. And those are just really to gauge how you're learning, how you're grasping the key concepts. There are some short lessons for each section that you look at and learn about. And then there's a written exam per each 100-hour section. And that is an open book test. You can look back at your notes. You can take it again. And again, it's meant to just make sure that you're grasping the key concepts of each one of the modules. And the oral exam, which I mentioned earlier, is the exam that's necessary to be granted that hypnotherapist diploma. And so what does that mean in terms of support? Matthew mentioned that I'm here to walk alongside you throughout the journey, and we help you. We help you along the way as much as you want that help. We're able to track and monitor your progress. We have a system called passcodes, which simply is a way for us to know that you've completed the tutorials. It's a very simple, easy way to show your progression through each of the 100 hours. I am here to support you by phone, by email, text messaging. And since I've been through the training, I understand what that means. I understand the journey. And so I get lots of questions about scheduling. Sometimes people need to move schedules for one reason or another. People want just general advice or support as they're going through the course. Sometimes people call to find out about how they could get mentoring hours. People ask about practitioners and who can support them if they're looking to do their own sessions. And if you ask me a question that I'm not able to answer, I will pass it along to somebody who can. So it is really important to me that I give you the support as much support as you would like, because it is a commitment in time and energy, but you certainly gain so much back, as Matthew has already referred to. So a little bit more detail on what that all means. So I mentioned the video tutorials. Those are pre-recorded. You can work with your own schedule on those. You can do those at your own pace. And we do have a recommended schedule, which paces you out across the time period for each of the 100 hours. Some people like to follow that. Some people prefer doing a little bit of a binge on the weekends and doing it that way. And again, that's really up to you. And the way that the course is designed is so that it can work with your schedule. The practicum hours, those are the times after each of the 100 hours where you get to interact with your instructor, either online, or team of instructors, either online or in person. And you get to do the exercises. And those are really designed to help learn what you have studied. And there's a lot of personal growth as you move through this training. And it's an amazing experience. And we hear that all the time. And I can certainly speak to that. You will get a chance to be the client in the chair. You'll get a chance to be the practitioner. And so you get to know your fellow students, again, either online or in person, and your instructors. So it's a very intimate experience. And your cohort, the group of students that you start with, becomes your group. And many of our groups will create WhatsApp groups. They'll support each other as they're moving through, and you make lifelong friends. And I can speak to that as well. And the practicum hours do run over the weekends. They're Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. They are long days, but they're filled with so much learning. And those are all listed. Those dates are all listed on the schedules on the website. And so if you have any questions about those dates, please do reach out and ask. And in terms of graduates, I talk to graduates all the time. Many times people call because they want to view the curriculum again. They have, as a graduate, you have lifetime access to the materials, which is a huge value. And sometimes people need to remember how to log in. Sometimes they are looking for something specific. And it's just nice that I can get to know people, not only as students, but also as graduates, and find out what sort of work they're doing. I can refer inquiries out to people, particularly if people have a specialty or if they need a geographical area. We support you with continuing education opportunities, classes, the conference, and we're there to help you continue the learning, not just to get you through that 500 hours. And of course, we're always looking for ways to help with mentoring, with support that way, and to develop your own business. And so this visual, it actually helps, I think, to look at this, because it helps to think.
Jenny, you shut your mic.
I just shut my mic off. Sorry about that. So this visual helps because you can look across time and see how that works. So each of the 100 hours is about 7 weeks. Sometimes it's not shorter than that. Sometimes it's a little bit longer, depending on the calendar. And for each one of those 100 hours, then you would be responsible for the 70 hours of the tutorials and entering in the passcodes, going to the live classes, and taking that written exam. And again, that's an open book written exam. And each one of the 100-hour modules has the practicum weekend, the 3 10-hour days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And as you can see here from this visual, the first 300 hours make up the hypnotherapist module. At that point, you would be eligible to take the oral regression exam to get your hypnotherapist diploma. But the way that we typically do it, and most students will do it, is we schedule the test on the first day of the transpersonal weekend. Because once you've gone through the 300 hours, everything that you've learned still applies, and it reinforces the learning as you move forward into the clinical module and the transpersonal module as well. And so with that, I will hand it over to Todd Brady.
Yeah, I'll bring Todd in just a sec. Thank you, Jenny. Appreciate you. So, Kay Harris, welcome. Thank you for asking a question. Anybody who's here live, feel free to use the chat pod and ask questions. You said, hello, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to go over this exciting info. Thank you. Question, will our trainings be available as a resource long-term after all courses are complete next spring? Yes. When you graduate in good standing with the school, you are basically a student for life. You can go back into the learning management system anytime you want to. You have access to all the videos, all the new content, all the audio meditations, every single demonstration video. So yes, and also what we do, and we have the right to change this policy, but we haven't in like 17 years of running the school. You can repeat the entire training at any time at no charge. That's the current policy. Again, it could potentially change in the future, but in 17 years it hasn't. If you, when you graduate, feel like that was phenomenal, but my God, it was so much information, I need more time to digest it. And a handful, maybe 3 or 4 students in each class are actually auditing, repeating the training in part or in full. The ones who repeat it in full have over 1,000 hours of training and become exceptionally confident and skillful at it. So yeah, you could always go back and rewatch any training video. You could attend any live class with me as your instructor anytime. You just want to show up and ask a question. I'm also always available as your teacher through email. If you have a question, like I have a client or I designed this like little protocol for this certain theme, I get a few of those a day easily. Students asking technical questions and how to perform hypnotherapy. So you are never alone after you graduate. As Jenny alluded to, there are mentors available for you, repeating the training, getting your own private session. So yeah, we are totally here for you after graduation with ample opportunity to go back into the materials. So thank you for that question. So ask questions if you got them. And then starting to conclude, let's turn it over to Todd Grady, admissions representative, who will talk to you about slide 14 here, about what it means to be getting started. And your mic is off, Todd.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
All right. Good evening, Matthew, Nidhi, Jenny, and to everyone on the call live. Thank you. I apologize for being late, but I was working with one of your classmates. Yay, bringing everybody together. So, you can read in front of you getting started, the next steps in the process. I like to always start off with it takes a brief phone call. Don't be afraid to pick up the phone and give me a call. The biggest elephant in the room is you not calling because of concern that you may not have that prior degree. You may not have give me a call. As you can see, there are no prior degrees required. Honestly, as Matthew and this entire team has always stated to me, it's about being harmonious, transparent, and loving. We can work on everything else together, and I truly believe that. Anyone on this call who has spoken to me knows I love to talk. Thank you, Kay. I love to talk. I love what I do. I love this team, as you guys know, and I hold nothing back. So the enrollment information you're going to get from me, your enrollment agreement, your self-attestation, you're going to get those things after you enroll. One of the things that we talk about in the interview over the phone is the pricing and the cost of our training. So let's discuss that. So our training cost is $19.50 per hour, $19.50 per hour. What we've been doing, and it's been working out well, you guys are great, is you're able to come in, reserve your seat with a minimum $300 deposit to have access to the first 20 hours of training. As you all know, I love that option. I love being able to come in and see what Matthew discusses, how he operates, meeting the staff, and how we function. I think it's very important. Then once that's done and you're deciding, hey, I'm ready to go, it is for me, you have different payment options. So there is payment of $1,950 that's due before your first class, and it gives you access to 70 hours of video recordings, as you can all see. $1,950 is every 100-hour session of training. Every 100 hours is $1,950. The financing options that we do offer for our students is that as long as your credit score is 600 or better, then we can work together to get you into a financing position. I've had a lot of success with Matthew allowing me to do these things and work with the students to get them involved and get them into training. Again, as long as you're truly here for yourself and helping others, Matthew is extremely, extremely easy for me to work with. Your first payment's taken over the phone with me. Yay, Todd. After that, you're all set up to get yourself into formal payments online. Our class starts May 15th. 2024. I have the easiest slide in the world, ladies and gentlemen. I love it. And the reason I love it is because I love what I do. Now, I see in the comments, awesome. Thank you. Hi, Sharice. Hi, Kay. Thank you to put a face with the voice. Thank you. I sound like a salesman, don't I? I don't know if I look like a salesman. I sound like one all the time. Either that or Darth Vader. I don't know. I'm going to start singing. Um, Guys, I'm a clown. I love it. I know Matthew's looking at me like, shut up, but I'm a clown. I love it. I love what I do. I wouldn't change it for the world. Let me just say this, the man before you, he says what he means what he says, he believes it, he lives it. I always tell you the story that I had when I met Matthew the first time, and I was like, yeah, okay. Let me tell you, everything he's saying to you, it works. When you get off a call and you stop talking to Matthew, and I say this with sincerity, and you go hug your wife and your kids, this is important. Jenny, awesome. Nitty, fantabulistic. That's all I have. Honestly, I hope the best for everyone. If you need me, if something isn't said here that I did not say, I want you to address it. Don't be afraid. It's the best way for us to stay transparent. And if I can help in any way, shape, or form, I'm here. Thank you, Matthew, for
Perfect.
your time.
Thank you, Todd, and all the warmest sentiments right back at you. Todd, you've been awesome, so thank you so much. There's a mistake in the slide. It says payment of $19.50 before February 1st. That should be something like May 15th on the first date of class, essentially. So just know that's a mistake. Sharice, welcome to the school, by the way. I know you just enrolled recently, so welcome, welcome, welcome. I look forward to the journey with you. You said, hey there, I'm not sure if I misunderstood. Did Jenny mention workshops in person, workshops for those of us attending online? We wanted to show you the word workshops to talk about the full 500-hour training. So let's go back and show you. We could use this slide. The program you're enrolled in when you first start is called Hypnotherapist, 300 hours. Then clinical, these are state licensed programs where you get legitimate state licensed diplomas. Clinical is 100 hours, transpersonal is 100. That's a program. Programs are made up of courses. There's about 60 courses or so to get through the entire 500 hours. All of this training, like in the 7 weeks for each 100 hours, you will have it's about 60 hours of recordings that I made, and they're very high production value. I redid them all in 2023. So they're hot off the press. Again, like really top-notch quality to the best of our ability. So you're watching those videos. We wouldn't call those workshops. Then approximately every week, it says every other week, but it's more than that. It's about 1.5 weeks, like every 10 days on average. You're going to meet with me for a 2-hour live class. I teach you the most current information. I review the exercises to prepare you for practicum hours, the hands-on practical hours. And yeah, answer your questions, teach you the exercises, teach you the most up-to-date info. So that's almost every week. You meet with me for 2 hours, ask all the questions you want, and you can interact. It's on Zoom, so I can see you, I can hear you. You don't just have to type questions. And then at the end of those 70 hours, which is 60 recording, 10 live, then about every 7 weeks, you'll meet for 3 10-hour days. That might be what you mean by workshop. We call them practicum. That's the official educational term, but we loosely call them practicals. Practicals are Friday, Saturday, Sunday from 8:30 to 9:30 in the morning when we start up until like 6:30 or 7:30 at the end of the day. So they're long, but they're fast, and people are crying at the end, like, tears of joy, gratitude. We do closing circles that are very beautiful. Those one might you mean by workshop. They happen at the end of every 100 hours, but they're called practicum or practicals. Those can be done online or in person. We definitely have a Tampa group for the May class, but I think, Sharice, you were interested in Orlando. But because we're so online now, it's been harder to fill 2 Florida locations. So we probably are not having an Orlando class. So I think Todd encouraged you to just, do online, because we're definitely doing online. I am your primary instructor for the online practicum, although I do have other instructors and supervisors who help me with that for sure. But the practical weekends essentially are what you might call workshops. But I wouldn't use that term because it's part of a complete 500-hour training made up of programs, courses, sections, and exercises. Those are the official terms we use. Sharice, did that answer your question? And anybody else who's here live, if you have any other questions, please ask them because we're towards the end of the presentation. But any questions for me or Todd or Nidhi or Jenny? Here, we don't have, I think, easy access for you to click on that link at the moment, my mistake. But if you go to our website and you find this product, Peace Under All Circumstances, thank you, Cherise. And I hope I'm saying your name correctly. I kind of assumed I did that right. If you go to our bookstore, you can find this product, Peace Under All Circumstances. It's the complete audio package. It's the audio book and like 5 different meditations. And you can get that for free using that coupon code there. So if you do a screenshot or take a photo of it, you can find this. And that's our free gift to you for tonight. Sorry, we didn't have the link easy to click on. So yeah, for more information, give the school a call, 800-551-9247. Definitely, if you haven't already, of course, check out our website. We used to do screen share with that during these open houses, but you can do it on your own. The schedule is there. Law and legislative efforts are there. HIPAA compliance, getting insurance, our catalog, our prospectus, everything you need is definitely on the website. Shadow, good evening, said, it's a beautiful name. Shadow, I won't say the name in the recording for you. Shadow said, how does it work for the online practicums when we do things requiring physical touch? Okay, so things like physical touch. After you hypnotize someone, you might roll their head. You don't really need to do that in person to know how to roll someone's head. Sometimes we do what we call an arm drop. You lift and drop someone's arm. So a lot of the touch does not require that you actually do it in person. I only do sessions online, and I just don't use those techniques. You don't have to roll someone's head. You don't have to drop their arm. That's about the only kind of touch that tends to happen. However, there are what we call rapid hypnotic inductions or instantaneous hypnotic inductions. Some of those are predominantly used for stage hypnosis. So if you want to learn to do like a stage hypnosis show, and you're going to do those type of inductions, you'll want to at least visit our Tampa location when those happen. So let's say you do the whole training online, and you're like, well, I think I'd like to, experience some of that hands-on. Because I said you could repeat the training at any time at no charge. What you could do is in the next class, like if you enroll in the May class, then when the September class has their fundamental practicum hours, you can actually go visit the Tampa location and learn some of those hands-on teaching techniques. Most of those are things we just don't use in clinical professional hypnotherapy. Some of the rapid inductions are good to know, but there's only like 2 or 3 of them that we tend to use. And again, I don't use them at all anymore. I just do inductions that don't involve touch. Some of those inductions honestly can hurt someone. We tug on the arm, we cause loss of equilibrium. And a lot of our graduates are like, I'm never going to do that to a client. I don't even like that. So out of 500 hours, like 1% of that are techniques that involve touch. But if you do the 100% online and you're like, I think I'd like to experience that, you could just talk to Jenny, who'll be your student services director, say, when's the next time in Tampa that they're doing the hands-on stuff? And it'll be one afternoon of one day. That's all you're missing. So that's one way to do it. But honestly, if you never learn those techniques and never use those, it's like a handful of things. And it's meant to induce hypnosis very quickly. You don't have to induce hypnosis quickly. In fact, it could be argued, take 10 or 20 minutes to put them into hypnosis. What's the hurry? We do 2-hour sessions anyway. Okay, so there's minimal touch. You can learn that stuff if you decide to go to Tampa, just even for a visit. But yeah, like I said, I personally never even use those techniques anymore, and nothing is lacking from it, really. Okay, Shadow, does that help to answer the question? Great, I'll assume it does. Any other questions you're sharing before we start to wrap it up for tonight? We're all here for you. If you have anything else. Okay, great, thanks, Shadow. Yeah, so in closing, the online education has been amazing. Online sessions are wonderful. Again, I don't see clients in person anymore. I see clients all around the world, definitely around the country. Amazing profession, spiritually based, heart-centered, healing your mind, healing your body, just, the best thing I could possibly offer the world that I know of. So thank you so much for being part of this class with us tonight. If you have any other questions, give us a call, check out the website. But we'll wrap it up for now. And yeah, I hope to see all of you in a future class sometime. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.